morning, or depending on when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told, out of Voice of Radio. So today, we need to be taking a gander at a lovely new special energy card. It is a new fire energy, a special fire energy, and we knew we were getting a special fire energy. It comes along with speed energy and horror energy, and very much looks like we are getting a special energy for each of the typings. And it does absolutely nothing like what Burning Energy did. Burning Energy, if it would be discarded by a Pokemon's attack, it wasn't discarded. This new one, now our translation comes from the lovely Antoine Boulet, one of our very favourites. It is apparently better known, officially known as it were, or at least the best translation we've got, and Antoine's pretty good at the whole translation thing, as Heat Fire Energy. Gotta love that name. And it is a fire energy, and remember, all of these provide a fire energy when they're attached. And you can attach it to anyone, and it's a fire energy, which is different to the old style that could only be attached to the relevant type. But if it's attached to a fire Pokemon, they get an extra 20 HP. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty gosh darn good, ladies and gentlemen. That's pretty gosh darn good. And this is going to create some dilemmas for fire decks. Let me explain. So as it stands at the moment, fire decks really rely on basic energy. And they should rely on basic energy. Welder allows you to attach basic energy. Volcanion lets you search your deck and attach basic energy. Heat Factory Prism Star lets you draw extra cards if you discard basic energy. Fire Crystal lets you get basic energy from the discard. Fiery Flint lets you get basic energy from the deck. Giant Hearth lets you get basic energy from the deck. Even stuff like Arcanine accelerates basic energy from the discard pile. Fire decks love basic energy. And maybe they play the odd weakness guard energy with a single copy of Guzma and Hala to take away their weakness and make sure they can search it out. But as a general rule here, we don't really see special energy in fire decks because they're too reliant on basic energy. And then along comes Heat Fire Energy. And you see, Heat Fire Energy changes everything. Because now you get an extra 20 HP. And all of a sudden, the numbers are just off. And look, we've got cards that increase HP. If you're a Pokemon with a retreat cost of 4, you get to use Buff Pattern to give yourself an extra 50 HP. But even if you're not, we've always got Big Charm at the moment that gives you an extra 30 HP. So we've got ways to increase HP. But now we can go a little bit silly. Hypothetically speaking, and this is a little over the top, but just roll with me anyway. Hypothetically speaking, you could have 4 of these energy attached to one of your fire Pokemon. That would give you an extra 80 HP. If you then attached a Big Charm, that would give you an extra 110 HP. That's a Zapdos. That's an extra Zapdos worth of HP before your opponent goes through you. And I mean, we might as well use Centiskorch VMAX as an example here, because that's the one we looked at earlier today. Centiskorch VMAX comes along with 320 HP. So now all of a sudden you're putting it up to 430 HP. That's ludicrous. Now, there is actually a way to get all this energy on nice and quickly. Now, I'm not the only one that came up with this idea. The lovely Antoine Boulet did retweet this earlier on today and did include a deck list from Neko Warif. So, you know, not the only one that came up with it. Though I did come up with it on my own because it's Electrode. I did do a video the other day about how Electrode GX is becoming weirdly expensive at the moment. Maybe this might be one reason why. I mean, it's not. This was not announced when we saw how expensive it was getting. But it's reasons like this that make Electrode expensive. Now, there is a chance that Electrode rotates out about a week or two after Explosive Walker becomes legal for tournament play. But firstly, you'll still have a week or two. And secondly, you'll always have Expanded. But Electrode GX's ability, Extra Energy Bomb, lets you attach 5 energy cards from the discard pile to one of your non-GX, non-EX Pokemon. Now you have to knock out Electrode, but you could always do something like drop a reset stamp to annoy your opponent, put them down to a 4-card hand. And this is ridiculous. Because now you're getting all 4 of those energy on. You need to get them in the discard pile, but there's ways of doing that. And Electrode was designed to help single prize Pokemon, non-GX, non-EX Pokemon. The thing is, Pokemon V are neither EX nor GX Pokemon. So even though, if you look at it, the spirit of Electrode says you probably shouldn't be able to use it, you can. Oh. And then you're off, ladies and gentlemen. Now your opponent has somehow got to go and get through 430 HP. And you give up 3 prizes, but it's 430 HP. And while we're here, we might as well remind ourselves of Centiskorch VMAX's attack that does 40 damage base plus 40 more for each energy attached to Centiskorch VMAX. So with 4 energy on, you'd actually be doing 200 damage. Except you can attach 5 energy with Electrode, then you've got your energy for the turn, then you've potentially got Welder, which is actually 8 energy, which is 360 damage, and now we're getting just a little bit silly. And seriously, you could go first and get this going turn 2 after your opponent's had 1 turn. You need a turn to evolve the Electrode. And then your opponent's facing down a 430 HP Pokemon doing 360 damage. Or to put it another way, 1-hit KOing literally anything. And that's gonna kind of give you nightmares. And I love Centiskorch VMAX for this, but let's not sleep on Charizard. We have a Charizard VMAX. Now, like I said, we are largely focusing on VMAXs here because Pokemon GXs and EXs are excluded from using Electrode. So it's not going to work. But Charizard VMAX just does 300 damage. And 300 damage is a lot. Now, they do have to discard 2 energy attached to them to do so, which is a little bit awkward, but remember you've got Welder, so what you would actually try and do is get 6 energy on here rather than 5, which I know seems excessive, but remember, you are accelerating 5 energy with Electrode, so you would use a Welder and this wouldn't even be your attachment for the turn, so that is something to bear in mind. And then you're sitting there hitting 300 damage. Clearly, okay, you lose 10 HP comparatively, but Centiskorch VMAX is doing more damage, so yeah, I prefer Centiskorch VMAX with this one, if you're going this silly route. But what if you're not? What if you're not going the silly Electrode route? What does that do to heat fire energy? And the answer is I don't know. Because the problem is we've got so many reasons why we would just want to play basic energy here. And that makes me a little bit worried. I love this, but this looks like it's going to be the kind of energy where you need to sit and do the maths. So take something like Reshiram and Charizard. Great Pokemon, sees a huge amount of play. Probably not going to be able to use the Electrode route because it's a GX. So you're sitting there with 270. The question you've got to ask yourself is going up to 290 going to be a huge deal? Or maybe you go Big Charm as well and go up to 320. And I do think if you're going to be using Heat Fire Energy, you probably want to be using Big Charm. The problem is Big Charm, since it came out, has been like a one-off in a few decks here and there. It's not been ruling the format. Now, the other thing we can do here is Porygon-Z. And I'm sorry, but every time I talk about these new special energy cards, I'm gonna be talking Porygon-Z, because Porygon-Z is over the top, nuts, good, awesome. It just lets you accelerate as much special energy during your turn as you like. So if you want to play Porygon-Z, again, you're doing really well here, because you can just attach all 4 of those energy and go. And that's the other thing you can do. And the advantage of Porygon-Z is it can be used on Reshiram and Charizard. And again, with Reshiram and Charizard, this is still a really good energy because of Outrage. Outrage does 30 damage plus 10 more for each damage counter on the Pokemon, Well, if you add 110 HP, you're up to 380, which means if you've got 370 damage, you're hitting 400 damage. That's good. The problem here is fire decks are set up for basic energy. And even after rotation, we're still going to have Welder, Volcanion, Giant Hearth, and Fire Crystal. So it ain't like we're losing all this stuff to the rotation, unless we get a really deep rotation, which I refuse to believe is happening. There's like a 0.00004% chance of that happening. So I'm not sure they're going to use it ordinarily, or it's going to be a 1 or 2 of for specific matchups to stop your opponent hitting specific numbers. But with Electrode and Porygon, it becomes truly nuts. I'm giving it between 3 and 4 Wassies, and that feels like it might be too low. We don't give half Wassies, that would be barbaric. It's definitely a good card. I'm just a little bit apprehensive as to how much play I think it's actually going to see. And the decks I could see it seeing a lot of play in have been kind of gimmicky decks up till now, which have not been set in the format on fire. Ha, get it? On fire. But for now, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to know what you think about Heat Fire Energy, so let me know in the comment section. Go nuts! Me nice. And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCGRadio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCGRadio, where you can do exactly that. And please do make sure you're checking out youtube.com/WassiePlays, where you can find out about a whole bunch of games that don't have Pokemon in, but are pretty gosh darned awesome nonetheless. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.